So here we are back for another National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation movie. And I want to preface this by saying that in all of the holiday movie debates, questions, and everything else, the one that sticks out to most is Die Hard a Christmas movie. But there is a secondary question, which is how much was Clark's bonus supposed to be? And I think that one is a little more complicated. Now, I scoured around the web to try to find an answer, and I found many different answers, many different answers. So I rewatched the movie, and I pulled together what I could out of details provided in the movie because I found that just Googling dollar amounts like everybody else was doing, it didn't work. It didn't help at all. It was giving me the wrong answers for it. But I do think I have a definitive answer for you on what his bonus was, or as close as I can get. But we're going to have to go over some details first, so bear with me. All right, so shortly after the start of the movie, we get a scene where Clark is getting himself some coffee in his Taz mug, and then Bill, somebody who works at the same company he does, mentions that Clark must be looking forward to the nice fat Christmas bonus he's going to get, and then Bill goes on to say that word is Clark is going to be an excellent choice to be named Food Additive Designer of the Year. And then at this point, Clark is asked by Bill the product he's working on, and Clark references the Crunch Enhancer. If you didn't know, that is the product that Clark was having that was super special, and Clark describes it as a non-nutritive cereal varnish. He says it is semi-permeable and that it is non-osmotic. Clark goes on a little bit longer, but Bill seems to be getting bored, and it seems to be going over his head. I'm going to assume Bill is in sales and not in the science portion of things. Now, in order to figure out what Clark's bonus would be, we need to try to figure out what Clark is making, and that seemed a little harder. Now, I did look up to see if that was an actual job title, the Food Additive Designer. I didn't see anything in particular for that was helpful. I did find, though, oddly enough, there is a LinkedIn profile for a Clark Griswold. It's fictitious, of course, but it is a profile, and it shows multiple details about Clark Griswold, like when he became a food additive director. Apparently that happened shortly after the events of the movie, if you listen to that LinkedIn profile and what it has there, but that's neither here nor there. So Bill asks Clark what he's going to do with the bonus, and then Clark gets excited and he shows him a leaflet with the pools. And in this, we can see there are two pools. One is a 33 by 18 oval pool, and the other is an 18 by 12 oval pool. Now, I tried to do a Google search to figure out what the cost of a pool is, but the problem is that was showing me numbers by square footage, and it wasn't really lining up with the pay or anything else in there. And I thought, well, maybe it's just a movie error. But then something odd happened, which was I started looking at the cost to install pools in 1989 or in the 80s. Oddly enough, an article came up from the New York Times from February 18th, 1989, talking about pool installs. Now, before I get into the cost of pool installs, I was about to give up on that because I remember Ellen, Clark's wife, saying that he overshoots things. So I assumed he was going for the big pool, and then kind of made the assumption that, well, he must be getting the 18 by 12 because he's going to see that it won't fit in his backyard. He wouldn't have the money for it. But then that New York Times article titled Consumer's World, Everybody into the Pool, but carefully, there's a segment that reads as follows. Above ground pools start at $500 and can go up to $9,000 depending on the model and the accessories and options. We don't really care about above ground because based on Clark's daydream, we know he's wanting an in-ground pool, and the images you're looking at were specifically for an in-ground pool. So it says in-ground pools come in standard and custom versions and fit into one of three general classifications. Vinyl liner pools, the most popular, usually cost $9,000 to $25,000. Fiberglass pools cost $12,500 to $25,000, and pools made of gunite, concrete sprayed under hydraulic pressure, cost $25,000 and can range to as much as $150,000. So I'm going to make the assumption that we're going with the fiberglass pool, the sprayed fiberglass pool. That's what most people commented on. I guess he could go with the concrete sprayed under hydraulic pressure, but I don't think he would. Also, people discussed that he wouldn't be financing this, and I agree with that too. I don't think he'd be financing this pool. He's planning to buy the whole thing outright. Now, based on the $25,000 price point, we're going to say the max he's spending is $25,000. Clark tells Bill that he already put a down payment of $7,500 down. That'd be a little over 35% down payment on the pool. I'm not sure what the rates for down payments were at the time. Maybe he was overshooting it and just spent what he had. I don't know. They don't really tell us that. But we need to figure out what Clark made. Now, I looked at what people were saying all around. And they say that he must have been making somewhere around $75,000. Adjusted for inflation, that's $262,000. Based on his job, that may be possible. I don't know. But if he's making $75,000 a year and he was expecting enough to pay that pool off, we have to look at that. So doing some real simple math here, if we know the pool cost $25,000 and he's already put down $7,500, that means the remaining balance is around $17,500, getting us closer to that magical $15,000 price point. But he mentioned earlier that he hoped the bonus would be bigger to cover the rest of the cost of the pool. So we can assume he was getting around that $15,000 and he was expecting more to cover the cost of that. And I'm not sure, again, what he was expecting that increase to be. But when he was announcing the pool to his family, and he said that he would, if there was enough left over, he would look at flying everybody out to christen the pool. That means he was expecting it to be enough to cover the pool and maybe have some leftovers. So we're pretty close to that amount. So he was maybe expecting the $15,000 plus a slight increase. So doing some more Googling around, I looked up the average cost of an airline ticket in 1989. That came out for a round trip ticket that was $592. Even if he's only flying 4 people out, that's still a little over $2,000. And I would say he was expecting his bonus to be around $20,000. That's what I'm guessing. That would mean he's expecting a 30% bonus on top of, or on, in addition to his pay, or of his pay, a 30% bonus. While it does seem crazy, he does have that special product he's working on. And at the beginning, the head of the company, Mr. Shirley, specifically asked Clark about that. Now, he didn't know Clark by name, but he did know about the product that Clark was making or designing and associated with Clark. So perhaps Clark was thinking he would get a ton more money off of that. So my final ruling is that Clark was going to get a $15,000 bonus. But that is the bonus he got last year. And how do I know that? Because at the end of the movie, after the company head was kidnapped, you all remember that scene, he told Clark to take whatever he made the year before and add 20% to it. And that 20% would have brought the grand total of Clark's bonus to $18,000. That'd be enough to pay off the pool and potentially fly some people out. So what is Clark's bonus at the end of the movie? $18,000. That is my bid in. Do you disagree? Do you have any comments or questions about that? Do you think I got it wrong? If not, and you guys accept that as an answer, then let's set it there and use this as reference that his bonus was $18,000. Hope this helps, guys. Happy holidays and enjoy your Christmas movies.